Does your week feel chaotic and overwhelming? Does it feel like Groundhog's Day where every week it's hard to keep up and it's hard to manage the schedule of juggling the busy and dynamic life that you live? For so many people with ADHD, this is the chronic, constant feeling. It's super hard to keep up and manage a schedule. And you always feel like you're just trying to rat race and your hamster wheel of just trying to keep up day to day. I'm Dr. Murphy, Coach Murphy, been supporting and helping and educating and teaching adults and students and parents and families with neurodiverse needs for over 20 years. Welcome to this little video clip that's going to help you and empower you with management strategies and scheduling strategies to help you manage the dynamic life that you're trying to live. I'm going to give you 3 steps to start with. You can build on those 3 steps, but if you can consistently do these 3 steps, you're going to find yourself less overwhelmed and feeling more confident in managing the day-to-day life of whatever priorities you're trying to juggle. Step number 1 is create a visual representation of your week. This can be simple but complicated because I have to sit down and I have to use a tool like a planner, like your Google Calendar, like just a piece of paper, and I think on paper what's going on this week. Yeah, the appointment stuff is kind of easy to manage. That's typically a strength of ADHD. I'm committed to appointments. I'll show up, right? Because other people are expecting me. But when it comes to me and my schedule and the juggling priorities of family and maybe the honey to-do list or even kind of juggling projects at work, I can kind of kicks the can and procrastinate. So I need a visual representation of my week. You'll see a 35% increase in your ability to manage your own deadlines and your own appointments and your own goals by using a visual representation like a calendar or planner. And Google Calendar is perfect. Like you just have it on your phone, you open it up, but I need a process, right? I need to be able to sit down on a date, and that kind of gets into one of the other strategies. But before you figure out when you're going to sit down and do this work, you have to figure out what tools I'm going to use, right? So you have the Google Calendar as one tool. You have wall calendars you can use. You can even use a bullet journal. One of my favorites is the Planner Pad, and it's a phenomenal tool. It's a hard copy. You can buy it. It's old school. It's been around 50 years. And it gives you a framework of organizing your thinking and organizing your week in a really meaningful visual way. It's a game changer, and we coach students and adults on how to use it all the time. It doesn't have to be that. It could just be your Google Calendar. So start there. And then add step 2. Step 2 is really a game of blocking priorities. I have to be able to know each day what my blocks of time look like as I juggle priorities. It can be simply driving my kids to school in the morning, but if I'm going to be driving these kids to school in the morning at 9 or 7:15 or 7:45 or whatever that is, I have to front end maybe something else like getting up and getting a workout in, getting up and getting exercise. Maybe that's a 20-minute time zone in my morning to start my day because that's a priority that I care about. So I have to time block these things. And if I do, then it initiates within me a higher level of accountability of who I'm trying to be each day. And it gives me a reference around my progress, right? How am I doing? Versus just winging it day to day. And that can be super overwhelming because we're conscientious, we have goals, we have expectations for ourselves, and we have to front end what those expectations look like today, what they look like tomorrow. And so that will allow us to then move into step number 3. Step number 3 is about check-ins, checking in with yourself, but checking in with your calendar, with your planner, with the bullet points on a piece of paper or a notebook. I check in on how am I doing hour to hour, maybe minute to minute if you're that dysregulated, but maybe day to day and maybe week to week. Like if you sit down on a Sunday and plan your week out, sit down on a Friday and review the week. How does it look? What did I get done? What do I need to now start to anchor over the weekend to get something caught up on? Because that might be a personal goal of yours, right? People are trying to get a master's degree while taking classes, right? They're trying to work on themselves while having a job and having children and marriage and mortgage. And so life gets complicated, but we don't want to put anything away, right? We don't want to throw anything out. We want to keep everything on our plate of life, and we just want to learn how to juggle it. Then this is a good strategy where I create an anchor for myself on a day-to-day basis if I need that, hour to hour. Maybe it's a morning anchor, maybe it's a noon anchor, maybe it's an evening anchor to check in on myself. What's going well? What can I improve on for next week? And these are things we do in the coaching process because that accountability of training and teaching that type of process builds momentum for someone to be able to do it on their own. Makes sense, right? Now there are so many other steps you can add on to this, but keep it simple and be patient with yourself. Be flexible with yourself. Be forgiving with yourself, right? Be compassionate with yourself, but also really try to be accountable to yourself because you really have you. And your goal really is to build a process that you can be accountable to so that you can live the best life that you want to live. And really recapping, when you think about just how basic these steps are, but really the ultimate game is the consistency of using that visual representation, that weekly plan, the consistently of anchoring my priorities in a meaningful way, the consistency of having those self-check-ins promotes momentum and promotes the skills that you are trying to anchor. Now, the classic ADHD symptom is I stop doing it because it's no longer shiny and new. Yeah, I know, right? But that's where you start to, you gotta kind of work through that because your goals matter. The vision of yourself matters. And so you have to kind of work on the consistency of that. Yeah, I got to get up and be this person because that's who I'm committed to being. And that's a training, that's a goal-directed perseverance that if you work on that muscle, it grows over time. Hopefully this helps you. Hopefully these steps are something you're going to give a try. Reach out to us if they're looking for more support, looking for more direct accountability and momentum building and skill development, because sometimes these steps make sense, but then really the skills to then monitor them. How do I prioritize, right? How do I anchor my attention? How do I use a planner consistently? And working on breaking up the process into meaningful parts can be overwhelming, and we're here to help. I hope this helps you on your journey to be the best version of yourself. All the best.